My name is Guillermo Big Caz, born and raised in Los Angeles, California, from a German prostitute, a Latino pimp. You might have seen me years with Bone Thugs and Harmony, Ice-T.
Hey, yo, this Ice-T, chilling with my real OG, you know what I'm saying? I mean, when you know people from peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, you know what I'm saying? This OG Caz, 6-0. And the kids in the neighborhood love us now. Imagine that. That's what a difference a day makes, right?
Owning the Tupac Masters.
Wow. You know, so a cat named Caz from the 60s who had cancer, he was not doing good at the time. He was in the streets. I mean, as you know, being a street dude, you can't go to a label like that because the labels are scared of the federal laws and the FCC and all that stuff with the records. I mean, I was smart. I knew what I wanted to do with it. Pac rolled my first blunt at Pelican Bay when I was 14 years old. You know, I mean, we went for a tour at Pelican Bay, and that's when I first met Pac. Yeah, and then later on in life, I ended up seeing him with Mike Tyson when I was younger at Mike Tyson's house, and I see Pac, and I was like, whoa, you know. And they only met 4 or 5 times. You know, people think Pac and Tyson had a long relationship, but they only met 4 or 5 times, but they connected so good because Mike was a Cancer, Pac was a Gemini, and we clicked. We're like 6 and 8s, we're like running mates. You know what I mean? And
you bought Mike Tyson's old house in Vegas, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
And then
you got the footage from
Caz came over. He said, I have 100 songs. I said, 100 sounds a lot. Let's see what you got. He wanted 150 for their footage, blah, blah, blah. He came, we checked, there was like 50 songs unreleased.
My very, very long relationship with my little brother Nipsey, you know, may 6 in peace.
Waking up to try to bring harm your way, you know what I mean, to try to stop you from doing that, because if I grew up on the same block you grew up on, and we had the same trials and tribulations, but you became successful and I became a failure, it made me feel a certain way about myself, because we had the same, we were dealt the same deck of cards.
Being from rolling 60, Crip, neighborhood.
People fearful just knowing that it's rolling 60s.
The name itself.
And what it carries behind it.
Like
what does it carry behind it?
It carries dirt, carries murder.
Family man, father, uncle, to evolving into a businessman. And I just want the world to know there's life after gangbanging, there's life after illegal activity. I'm in a 95% all black neighborhood, and I've got a white mother, and my other siblings obviously are mixed also, but we got different fathers. And you get to that realization that your mother don't have a regular 9 to 5. And then you get to the realization of knowing she's a prostitute. I knew by 8, having pimps, you know, I remember an Uncle Green who would come by and bring her clothes. And I was thinking, oh man, this is cool. My mom is getting all these nice clothes. But what I didn't realize was those clothes were for her to do her thing. That I lived in the ghetto as this kid that looked like no blonde hair, green eyes. My brothers and sisters looked, I put water in my hair, my shit curled. They put water in their hair, their shit went, you know. But the owner of the liquor store at that time was not Korean, they were Chinese. There was no Koreans in Los Angeles in the 70s. And if there was a white person other than my birth mother in the neighborhood, they were the last of the white flight that were about to leave. I became intrigued with drugs because I would watch my mother take, her favorite drink was a Pepsi. And I would watch her take the Pepsi can off and the lid, and I would always wonder, why did she keep these lids? And I always had torn up cotton balls. And that's how she would prepare her heroin. And I wanted to love this. I wanted this woman to love me so bad because my last name was different. Everybody else, their last name was Clark. My last name is Elon. At that time, I pronounced my name as Island. I didn't know what a Latino name was, so I pronounced it as Island. But I wanted this woman to give me different treatment because I looked different. Because this was before our little brother came into the picture, so I had the other 2 that looked alike. They had their own dad who was somebody, to this day, I don't know if he was her pimp or she actually married him. I just knew she treated me differently because I looked differently. My last name was different. And my whole goal in life was to be just that different kid. So when she needed a fix, I would watch. I'd watch her. I'd watch her take that. It was not an insulin needle back in those days, because it was called a plunger needle. She had all her veins had bursted on her hands. So, and she had none left in her arm. And she asked me to give her a shot. There is no way you were gonna breathe after you get stabbed with something this fucking long. And in my mind, I'm thinking he's still alive because he's still twitching. No, he's still twitching because he's getting stabbed with this big fucking knife. A cat by the name of Apache approached me. Could I get a double? So I remember I gave him a red and an orange. The orange was cocaine. The red was black tar heroin. Handed me a 20. I'm like, this motherfucker just got me. He just gave me a bullshit 20. And I ran across the street and I said, turn around. And he wouldn't turn around. I hit him. Hit him in the back of his head. And when he fell, the curb was right there. And when he fell, he landed on this part of his chin. And I ran upstairs and I told my homeboy Bear Claw, go downstairs and see if that dude is still out there. And he came back like 10 minutes later, he's like, yo, that nigga's dead. He choked to death. I pled to assault with deadly intent, but it was still manslaughter. I've watched people, since I've been out of prison, go, why would a person go back in? Why would they go back in? I don't even know why I sold drugs. I come from a mother who was a heroin addict. Maybe it's time I say this. I come from a mother who was a heroin addict that entertained herself by having sex with me. So, knowing what love is and what's the difference between right and wrong, you don't know what right and wrong is. It was totally fine that if I wanted a job up at Magnificent Brothers to sweep hair, it was a known thing I was doing drug runs. We had Strawberry Hill that was on Crenshaw across the street from Lamert Park. That was the known spot, so I would get sent on a run from, I could say his name, may rest in peace, one of the baddest motherfucking dope dealers, Monty Clark. He was a barber there, but his dope game was ridiculous. We're talking angel dust. Red Devils, Blackies. My specialty, what I was good at 10, 11, 12 was Red Devils, Blackies, weed, and heroin. Because I knew how to cut black tar heroin with angel dust. We called them deuces. Black tar heroin was obviously the black man's heroin because white was the white man's heroin. But the black tar heroin, the high was stronger. You know, you're shooting mud into your arms. And so when you used to see heroin in there, they would be burning up because it's that tar trying to flow through your blood system. So I would start doing runs and again, you had this woman that had no problem that her son, who had to go to school the next day, was at the barbershop working until 10, 11 o'clock. And I'd walk home. Magnificent Brothers is between Stocker and King Boulevard, 48. People don't realize about Los Angeles, it's very weird. You can be on King Boulevard and it can take you one way or it can take you another way that'll go to Rodeo. In Beverly Hills, it's called Rodeo. In the hood, it's called Rodeo. My niece found that out today. So I would walk, I lived on 3rd Ave, so if I'm on Crenshaw, it goes by avenues. You have Crenshaw, 11th Ave, 10th Ave, and I lived on 3rd Ave. So I'd have to walk home. You know how much more money I can make walking home? Dope was not that prevalent because this was not New York City and I lived on the west side of Los Angeles. East side, if you lived off Broadway, that area that me and you talked about where I caught my murder case, it was different because West Side people were more working class.
You won't say middle
Yes,
class, but working
yes. When I hear people, Compton was a suburb. It was the suburbs. When white flight started, when people talk about the Black P Stones, that was Baldwin Hills. Just the apartment side became so immersed in selling drugs. And, you know, if I went and worked a day and made 20 bucks sweeping up hair and running errands, I had another 200-300. We're talking 11 years old.
What's happening with the money? Mom's taking it?
Mom's taking it.
To support her habit?
Yeah, or do whatever the fuck, trick off with another man.